Welcome to In or Out, a rapid-fire game where we discuss a handful of topics and determine whether we are in or out on said topic. It's pretty simple. And we ask you to please sound off in the comments with your opinion on everything we are going to discuss. I'm Tony Pesta, that's Jackson Flickinger, and let's start here with the brand new 65-game player participation rule. Now, in order to be eligible for the end-of-season awards this year, you must play in at least 65 games. Donovan Mitchell is someone who will officially be ineligible for All-NBA status. The same goes for players like Joel Embiid, Jimmy Butler, and even Evan Mobley will be ineligible for the All-Defensive team this year. On the other hand, star players are appearing in more games, and there's obviously a heavy incentive not to rest when you are healthy enough to play. So Jackson, are you in or out on the player participation rules?
So I am in. The goal of these rules is to get people to be playing more games, to eliminate some of these rest days. And it's interesting when you hear players and coaches talk about this, they're all like, we want guys to play more, but we don't really like the 65 game rule. And then it's like, well, what do you like more? And nobody has an answer. So it's arbitrary, but you're muted. So I'm sure what you said was great.
I said I have an answer, but they're already silencing me.
You're being censored. But like they say, the 65 game rule is arbitrary, but so is 82 games played, so is 48 minutes. Like everything's arbitrary.
It's all made up. We're throwing a ball through a hoop.
Right, and I think like maybe you can lower it to 60, but I think 65 is pretty good. You're playing in just above 75% of the games. That's like it's a regular season award. Like it doesn't mean that you can't play in the playoffs. It doesn't mean that you're ineligible for participating there, getting other stuff. So it's like it's fine. Like you can still be an all-star. Like that has its own benefits. So this is completely fine. I think a lot of the backlash is too much.
Yeah, I would say I'm in on it. I would say my fix, which is, again, it's arbitrary. It really doesn't even make that much of a difference. I would say just extend it to 20. You can miss 20 games. Right now, you're allowed to miss 17. Just extend it to 62. Donovan Mitchell has missed 18, so it's very possible that he'll pass that 20-game mark missed anyway. But, like, when I think of, like, the purpose of the rules, it's not to punish someone like Mitchell who has genuinely played when he's healthy and just unfortunately had a couple injuries down the stretch. Someone who absolutely deserves All-NBA recognition might miss out on it by 1 or 2 games here. It's one of those situations where I think it's been an overall benefit and so an overall positive, but there are going to be some unfortunate realities where someone like Donovan Mitchell misses out on it by a handful of games. But overall, I'm in.
And that's fine because like availability is a skill, even if it is kind of luck as well.
Definitely. So let's move on to the next topic here. Merrill Mania. Now, Jackson, you wrote a story for Fear the Sword on March 4th titled Sam Merrill also believes he deserves more minutes. Since then, he has had the opportunity to play due to all of Cleveland's injuries, and in those minutes, he has shot a combined 6 of 35 from downtown, that's 17%, and he's been an overall minus 19 in his minutes during this stretch. Are you still in on Merrill Mania?
I am still in on Merrill Mania, but I do take full responsibility for this. I was the one who asked this question, so I asked the question, and Sam is a very honest guy, so he did say yes, but then he also added like 8 disclaimers, like, well, I know that everyone deserves to play, everyone in this locker room feels this way. So he, I think it was right to title the article that, but it's a great title. Thank you. But I do take blame for this, but he's going to figure this out. He's gone through slumps with the charge. This is just what shooters do. Shooters have hot streaks. Shooters have cold streaks. This is colder than I would have expected, but he's going to break out. He just needs to see a couple go through.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm still in. Shooters are going to shoot. Cold spells happen to everyone in the NBA, especially high-volume players like Merrill. I do think opponents sense, that December, January stretch, they're doing a little bit of a better job of like really, really respecting him and trying to run him off the line. And I also think playing without Donovan Mitchell has affected him a little bit. We talked about this in our podcast, the Junkyard Pod. Please go check it out. Playing with Darius Garland is just a different dynamic from the drive and kick aspect that Donovan Mitchell brings to this team. And I also think you just jinxed him. So
I did. And he's going to benefit from Tristan Thompson coming back, especially because Tristan's going to be getting minutes. Tristan's a really good screen setter, and he needs a really good screen setter. So having minutes with Damian Jones isn't exactly ideal compared to having minutes with a Tristan Thompson, who is a grade A screen setter.
And those offensive rebounds oftentimes lead to open three-pointers, so I'm sure we'll see more of that. Moving on to our next topic here, and this one might sound weird, so we're going to have to explain it. I don't have a great video to show you what we're talking about, but the Cavs in-arena entertainment. Now, every NBA team puts on some sort of entertainment for the fans during timeouts, whether it's free t-shirts or dance cams. You all know what I'm talking about. Cavs in the past have usually done a good job of this, but I went to the game on Monday, which is one of the first games I've been to this year, and I was kind of shocked to see some of the directions they're going in. For starters, and I will let Jackson explain this because he had a great tweet about it too, they're doing the old school challenge of, you make a half-court shot and you win a car. But Jackson, I'll let you take it away with what happened on Monday.
So on Monday is basically what we've seen throughout the last 5 or 6 games they've been doing this. And they say that they pick somebody at random for this competition, but every single time, all but one time, they're picking people who are too old to physically get the ball to the free throw line. So it really hurts. It's a pointless competition. We all remember that one guy for the Heat, that one fan at that Heat game who hit that half court shot. Right. That's just a great moment. Even though that person won a bunch of money, it's great brand exposure and stuff. So, but this is bad. The people that they are randomly choosing have no choice, and then it's just not fun because there's no tension. Even
it's kind of mean-spirited almost.
Right. And this person they chose had Karen. I stand for the flag.
Yeah,
I stand for the flag shirt. Her name was Karen, which was entertainment, but not
she had to be helped onto the court. I think we should mention too, she literally could barely walk to half court on her own. Yeah. And they're hey, make a half court shot, you win a car. You get 3 opportunities, by the way.
And Ahmad's trying to hype her up, and it's just this just isn't really going well. And I will say that hitting a half court shot is tough. We all remember that one time Steph Curry took 97 shots at the All-Star with what was it? I don't know what event it was. 5 or 6 years ago he took 1 million shots. When Lucas was here, he does this thing with his teammates where they do a half court shot challenge. And it took him 3 before he made 1, and Luka's a trick shot artist, and his teammates are professional basketball players who do this every game, and they missed 5 or 6 in a row. It's just not something that people are just going to randomly come out here and just start hitting half-court shots, even if they're physically capable of doing it, because it's hard. So, just out on that.
I'm totally out. I really want to highlight, because we don't have the video of it, there was, when poor Karen walks onto the court, there was no chance she was getting the ball. None of her shot attempts made it to the 3-point line. It was so egregious that I genuinely, after her first 2 attempts, I thought they were hustling us. She was about to throw up something backwards and it was going to go in. I was I thought this has to be some sort of joke. But no, this is what the Cavs are committing elder abuse, and we're just all watching it happen. So
and they've done they've done it multiple games in a row. If you have League Pass and you're watching the in-arena feed, you will be able to see this because they've been doing it. So, bad on them.
We're both out on that one.
Yeah.
Moving into our next segment, it might be Swifty season. We briefly mentioned this before, but with the Kelce brothers bobblehead night, there was a distinct opportunity for the Cavaliers to win over one of the most powerful fan bases on the planet, and a certain Dean Wade ensured that this opportunity would not be squandered. In the aftermath of that Celtics game, we've had at least one diehard Swifty on Twitter turn over to the Cavaliers fandom. You can check out a great story by Evan on Write Down Euclid detailing this whole phenomenon. But can this Cavs team actually hang on to a Swifty fan base, or is this not going to stick?
This is not going to stick. I think it's tough. You're if Taylor was able to go to the Kelce game or something like that, and she had a Cavs shirt on or something like that, I think that would maybe do something. Maybe if she goes to a playoff game in the future, with Travis that would mean something.
Yeah.
But like she doesn't even go to her last 2 tours. She hasn't even stopped in Cleveland. So like it's really tough to like. I don't think this has any juice, unfortunately, because it would just make it a lot easier for us if like more people cared about the Cavs. But yeah, I don't see this, guys.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think there's no chance. Not only do I think Taylor will just not show up to a game, which, like, at this point, the connection is so thin that we're trying to draw between the fan bases, but she's probably not going to show up to a game anyway. And also, I just the Cavs, it's different when the Chiefs are winning Super Bowls, and then you look at the Cavs and it's like, hey, are we going to get punked in the first round? Possibly, maybe. I don't know. You're not going to win over the Swifties if you're not a clear-cut winner.
I will say that, like, Travis is a genuine Cavs fan. I was looking back at something.
I've seen his tweets, his old tweets. He's an Anthony Bennett believer.
Well,
he was in the trenches.
I was looking back, which was a bad take. So like nobody asked him to get into the trenches. But I was doing some research for something, and I watched the clip of LeBron's like weird one-footed game winner against the Raptors in the 2018 playoffs, and as soon as the ball goes through the net, the camera pans to like Travis Kelce.
Oh
like,
man,
it was like a Taylor Swift like quick cut right to him, just like celebrating.
I never noticed that.
Well, yeah, because like we didn't care about Travis Kelce like that. So, which is really funny. So maybe if he just like becomes a mainstay and the Cavs actually win a playoff round, good to the second round or something. Maybe he becomes a mainstay and then that can become a thing, like, because that's what he was in like the 2018 playoffs. But that's
it's definitely something the Cavs should aspire for, is what we're hearing.
Yes.
Moving on to our last segment here and wrapping up. This happened earlier in the week, but Rudy Gobert and the Timberwolves are very upset about NBA officiating. Even their head coach mentioned it, that like, hey, the players need to stop complaining so much. Gobert went on to make the money sign gesture after getting a foul late in the game against the Cavaliers. I'm sure you've all seen the clip. He was promptly ejected, picking up his second technical foul. Then in the press conference, he strongly implied the officials are being influenced by sports gambling. He was then handed a $100,000 fine, which I believe is the maximum fine a player can receive. Jackson, are you in or out on the league cracking down on Gobert?
I mean, like, they have to, but I think I'm kind of in on Gobert's bigger point, maybe not in this game. So like I'm in on like the macro point, not the micro point, because this wasn't a game where I think there were some questionable calls, but none of them were on Rudy. Like he had, so
they all happened like after his whole debacle took place.
Right. So yeah, like I think there's a problem with there's potentially a problem with the gambling aspect, but I don't think these officials were like, yeah, that we're going to really help the Cavs out, even though some 50-50 calls did go the Cavs' way in a way that we typically don't see. So yeah, I'm in on the fine, out on his the money sign. Like, yeah, you like, what are you doing? That's like he gave the Cavs the win because we know how bad their late game offense was. They got a terrible shot after a timeout, and if he didn't give him that 1 point, that game never goes overtime.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm always in on some Rudy Gobert downfall, so I'm okay with the fine and everything. I thought it was hilarious that he commits like the most blatant foul ever, and then not only does he make the money sign gesture, but he like really let that thing linger. I mean, he was doing it for a while to the point where like the officials think you have to call that. They're gonna call a technical. He was begging for a technical basically.
Yeah.
So I thought that whole situation was funny. I do agree.
Even Johnny Manziel thought that it was like too much.
Yeah. I do agree with the broader point, which I think he chose a very poor game to make it, but I do think it's a little concerning that the NBA is so using sports gambling so prominently in the way that they cover the game. I won't go as far as to say that it's impacting the way the officials are operating. I don't necessarily believe that, but I think it would be better if we weren't promoting sports gambling in every aspect of the game, but it's kind of where we are now.
Yeah, that's kind of where society is, so that it is what it is. You can't put it back into the bottle, and the NBA has definitely taken it out of the bottle as much as they can.
And really all it does is it takes sports fandom, which can already be very toxic, and it makes it even more toxic.
Yeah, and I think it's bad for people who are younger and don't have the
Yeah.
means to really do that. So, anyways, that's a whole talk.
Yeah.
That's all set.
Yeah, I agree. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching our first episode of In or Out. Please subscribe and stick around for more of this. And if you have any topics or suggestions, go ahead and leave a comment for us to react to on the next one. That's all for now. Go Cavs.
I agree. Go Cavs.